Hi, and welcome to the Brisbane Professionals Podcast. This is a podcast brought to you by SMS Law, going through the legal secrets that will benefit you and your clients, as well as having a little bit of fun as we go. This podcast is designed to educate you on number one, complicated legal terms that we will explain in an easy to understand manner. Two, to understand why you do things from a legal perspective in your business. And three, to help you develop a plan for the future success of your business. Our mission is to help empower small to medium-sized businesses around the world to get access to legal advice so that they can help build their communities and make the world a better place. Did you know that any business owner is on average 7 months away from losing everything? That is the average time that it takes from a successful business to fold when an aspect of their business is not set up correctly. This podcast is all about empowering you and your business with knowledge and tools to ensure that that doesn't happen to you or to your clients. Let's begin, shall we?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Brisbane Professional Podcast. My name is Craig Mason from SMS Law, and I have with me, pause for effect, Jeremy Stratton from SMS Law. Say hello, everyone, please, Jeremy.
I'll pause for effect too. Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great day.
Now, how many people have tuned out now thinking that there was a problem? Anyway. There's not a problem. We're definitely here and ready to go with today's show. We're talking about franchising and the benefits and also the reverse of the benefits, which is the pitfalls of franchising. So we're talking about you as a business owner franchising your business. So not you buying a franchise, you having a business that's able to be franchised and you're thinking about doing it. So Jeremy, it's a pretty big step. What sorts of things should you be considering before beginning the franchising process?
Yeah, it is such a big step. And the reason that it is, as you know, Craig, is that you're really starting a second business. It's a completely separate business to what you already have in place. So, yeah, as far as what you should consider, it's like, it's actually how is it that you're setting up this business? How are you going to run this other business? And so many people think, oh, I've got this awesome business. I've got this intellectual property. I've got all this stuff sorted out. I'll just franchise it all. But there's so much more involved in it. So you need to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself in for. And you need to understand what it is that a franchise is before you even consider starting a franchise. So you want to make sure, first of all, that you're willing to operate a second business and know that it's a second business. The other things to really look at what is the systems and processes, because when someone buys a franchise from you, they're really buying two things. They're buying the intellectual property, which is the brand of the business, but also the intellectual property of how you do things in that business, the systems and the processes of that business. So you need to have them actually drafted well. Yeah, I tell in my book about the story about a client of ours who wanted to start a franchise and had no systems, no manual in place before they started. And when they did that, there was no way someone could just come in and operate the business the same way because they had no idea how it's going to operate. So it's really, those are the two main things you need to consider before you actually start a franchise. So, Craig, do you want to talk about a bit about the benefits and pitfalls of franchising?
Yeah, absolutely. So benefits are you're accessing some capital. So someone's going to pay you to buy the franchise. So you're going to get money for that. I guess it's a way of sort of expanding the business without having to worry about employing more staff and those sorts of things with the franchise business that you're now selling. There's more brand awareness. There's another place that's the same, which may increase if you're keeping the store, for instance, the brand awareness goes up. That's reducing the risk from an expansion point of view. There are some pitfalls, of course. So there is some control that you will lose. There's the big one, which is compliance with the Franchising Code of Conduct in Australia, which is a compliance issue that you've got to comply with that, and it does change and various other things. And flowing from that, there are some disputes that may come up from time to time between franchisors and franchisees that is definitely a pitfall. And as I alluded to at the beginning, there is an initial investment to make it a franchise. You've got to go through the things that Jeremy was talking about, and there is a money investment, time investment in that. So that's I guess a pitfall, but a sort of something a necessary one. So, and then Jeremy, the other thing you want to talk about is you've sort of done your franchising, and then you've got to find a franchisee.
Yeah, and what should you consider when choosing a franchisee? And yeah, a lot of franchisors, they fall into the pitfall of just trying to take anyone who will pay them money. And that's a huge trap to go into, because you're entering into a business relationship with these people. You know, that business relationship could be for 3, 5, 10, years or longer. And so you got to make sure that there's someone that you can do business with, that they've got a track record of either, being a very good employee or running their own business, and that you're really getting someone who is willing to learn and to follow a system and a training, because you need to make sure that they're going to do and operate the business the way that you want them to. McDonald's, for instance, sends people into month-long trainings, like months of training to make sure they get the right franchises, and that's why they're so successful. So you got to find the right people who are willing to operate the business the way that you want to, and are willing to be trained. And as soon as they're not, that should be a red flag that you don't want to work with that person. Also, someone who isn't financially sound. Again, McDonald's, great example. They require a large investment. I believe it's more than $1 million these days to actually buy a franchise, and they do that because they want to make sure that you're financially sound before you go into the business. They don't just take anyone that comes along. So, who is it that you want to work with, and when should you actually do that to find the right person? And you've really got to use your judgment, get them vetted, and get their financials vetted as well, so that you can really understand what it is that they're doing. And just as I said it before, just don't take everyone. Be strategic with who you want to work with. So, Craig, the last one, our favorite question: when should people seek legal advice?
Yeah, definitely our favorite question. And then our favorite answer is always. Is that our favorite answer? Anyway, you should definitely seek legal advice before you send out your franchise agreement, for instance, to a prospective franchisee. The disclosure requirements under the code are onerous, and you have to make sure you get all those things right. So would suggest you seeking legal advice when you're thinking about doing a franchise. And then along that sort of journey, you'd be seeking advice throughout that, together with your financial advisor. So, what sort of things need to be going in the franchise agreement, in the disclosure? What are the things you need to have in place behind that, the operations manual, those sorts of things, all sorts of things that you'd be getting legal advice on. And then once all that's done, then you can go out to the market and find a franchisee, and then you'd have legal advice throughout the time as well. But yeah, pretty early on is when you'd be seeking the advice. All right. That's our show on franchising, benefits, pitfalls, what's the sorts of things you need to be thinking about. Can be rewarding doing it, but yeah, you got to put in some groundwork at the beginning. So, Jeremy, anything else you wanted to add before we sign off for another show?
No, I just thank everyone for listening.
Indeed. And if you did enjoy it, please jump on and rate and review the podcast in whatever platform you might be receiving it. If you want to get involved in the Brisbane Professional community, like SMS Law on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or search for Jeremy and I on LinkedIn. And as I said before, we send out other information and updates throughout the time periods between the podcasts. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.